please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. So I have what I think is a pretty cool video here, especially for those of you that follow the channel closely. We're going to take a look at which teams and how many times I streamed certain teams so far this 2019-20 NHL regular season. I was going to wait obviously until the end of the year to do this, but now with the current situation, we don't really know when the end of the year is going to be. We don't know if we've already seen the end of the year. You know, there's a lot up in the air right now, but I thought it would be cool to go back and just take a look and see, you know, what teams have I streamed the most, which teams have I only streamed a few times, and some teams obviously I haven't streamed at all. So, you know, I just went back, counted up, went through all the streams for this year. I only counted the regular season and this current NHL season, and I just counted up and gave it, you know, counted how many times I showed whichever team. So, might as well get into it here. Just please hit that subscribe button if you are new, and give this video a like if you haven't already, as both of those things really help out the channel and are very much appreciated. But let's start by saying I have streamed 22 out of the 31 NHL teams this season. So I actually thought that was a pretty good number. That was higher than I thought it was going to be. Being from Massachusetts, being on the East Coast, I get to watch the Bruins, and I get to watch whatever NBC shows on NBCSN or NBC, and that's it. Because the Bruins are my local market, and then whatever the national TV game is I can watch. But other than that, I don't get to watch other games. So, you know, most of the teams that I haven't streamed this season are Western Conference teams because I'm on the East Coast for my local market, and NBC doesn't show a whole lot of Western Conference teams. And when they do have Western Conference games, it tends to be the same teams over and over. So I was actually surprised I did get 22 out of the 31 teams that so far this season. That's a higher number than I expected. But let's get into it here. Number one, clearly the Boston Bruins. They're my hometown team, my home market team. I watch them more than any other NHL team. I you know, get to see them way more than anyone else, so I obviously stream them way more than anyone else. I have streamed Boston Bruins games 18 times in the regular season this year. 18 of our streams this year have been Boston Bruins, and that is clearly number one on the list, more than anyone else by a pretty wide margin. But that it makes sense. They're my home market team. They're the team I watch the most. You know, I get to watch more of their games than anyone else by far. So, you know, it would make sense that I would stream them more than anyone else as well. Also, they happen to be one of the top teams in the league right now. So they're, you know, playing big, important games against quality opponents as well. So a lot of factors go into it, but it obviously makes a lot of sense that the Boston Bruins are number one with 18 streams this year. Coming in at number two, the Philadelphia Flyers with 11. I have streamed 11 Philadelphia Flyer games this season. A lot of them more recently, as Philadelphia really has taken off since in the second half of the year and become one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. I've got a lot of Philly games on this year, and I like that. Philly's a good team to watch, an exciting team to watch, a good team, obviously, a great team. So Philadelphia comes in at number two. With 11 streams so far this season. Right behind Philadelphia at number three is the Washington Capitals with 10 streams. So I have streamed 10 Washington Capitals games this season. Again, East Coast makes sense. They're on NBC all the time. Washington is on NBC all the time. So obviously I get to, you know, see them a lot on there. And they're one of the top teams, you know, similar with Philly and Boston. They're one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, one of the best teams in the league. They're always playing big games. They've got a lot of good rivalry matchups against teams like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders. So there's a lot of good games for them that I get to watch. So Washington comes in at number three with 10. Number four, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, another team that the NBC shows all the time on their network. So again, I mostly get to see them on NBC. 8 games so far, 8 Pittsburgh Penguins games I have shown on stream during this season. Another, you know, it makes sense. They're one of the top teams. They're shown on NBC all the time, so that's, you know, why if those are the games that I get to watch. Those are the games that I get to stream. That's what I'm being shown. So these are another one of those teams, another Metro Division team like Philly and Washington that is just on a lot. So it makes sense that I stream them a lot. And finally, well, not finally, but the final one that I'm counting as far as the top 5 goes, the final team in the top 5 are the Tampa Bay Lightning with 5 streams this year. Obviously, a lot of those came recently. Particularly with those 2 games a couple weeks ago against Boston when they played on Tuesday and then played again on Saturday. That was 2 out of the 5 right there. I've shown 5 Tampa Bay Lightning games so far this season. They are number 5 on the list. And again, one of the top teams in the East, one of the top teams in the league. And it makes sense that I would, they're playing big, important games. I'm going to stream those big, important games, and Tampa's a team that does get streamed quite a bit. So there's the top 5. Boston with 18, Philadelphia with 11, Washington with 10, Pittsburgh with 8, and Tampa Bay with 5. Those are the 5 teams that I have streamed the most this regular season. Beyond that, there are a bunch of other teams. I've shown the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders both 4 times this year. So, 4 streams for each of those 2 teams from New York. Makes sense that they would be pretty similar. Colorado and Buffalo, I have both shown 3 times. So Colorado leads the way as far as Western Conference teams go. They are the first Western Conference team to show up on this list. And I've streamed them 3 times this season. Again, NBC doesn't show a ton of Western Conference games. And when they do, they're usually cross-conference games, which I don't like to stream as much because they're not as good of games normally. I'd rather be streaming rivalry games. So it's tough with the schedule and the TV market, the way the TV works. It's tough to get Western Conference games shown because I don't like streaming late at night, and NBC doesn't show a lot of Western Conference games. But Colorado is the first team from the West with 3 streams. I've got a bunch of teams at 2 streams this season: St. Louis, Toronto, Minnesota, New Jersey, Ottawa, and Montreal. So that's 7 teams, I believe. I've all streamed twice so far this season. 2 of those being Western Conference teams, St. Louis and Minnesota. And if the season didn't, get paused like it has been, I would have been adding to both St. Louis and Minnesota's totals as this year went along, because they were playing some big games coming up. But obviously that's on hold for now. And finally, 1 stream each. There's a bunch of teams at 1 stream each: Nashville, Detroit, Carolina, Vancouver, Florida, LA, and Calgary. I have streamed all of those teams once this season. Obviously, a good number of Western Conference teams in that list that have only gotten streamed once this year. Those are, teams that I've only, Detroit, obviously the worst team in the league. I haven't been streaming them a whole lot. Their 1 stream came much earlier in the season. And that, that it kind of makes sense why, between TV and, how good the teams are or whatnot, it kind of makes sense why some of these teams have only been streamed once. And if you did not hear a team called, that means I have streamed them 0 times so far this season. There are teams that I haven't streamed yet. Obviously, I've said I've streamed 22 out of the 31 teams, so that leaves 9 teams that I have not streamed yet. Most of them are Western Conference. And they were either on TV too late, not on NBC, so I haven't been able to watch a game, or they just weren't playing in a matchup that I was interested in streaming in. But there you have it, guys. There's the list of teams that I have streamed so far this season. We'll see if that's the definitive list or not as the year goes along, or if this year continues or not. We still don't know what's going to happen with the whole situation right now when the league is suspended. But just thought that this would be a cool thing to look at and just see, what teams I've streamed and how much, and what, the most streamed teams were. And the most streamed teams were Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay. And if you follow this channel, I don't think that comes to any surprise to any of you, because those are the teams that I do very clearly show the most, because they're on NBC a lot, because Boston's my home market. Those are teams that I get to see a lot of games throughout the year. So thank you for watching. With that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.